Hey everyone, welcome to the Clover FPV Systems YouTube channel. Free your VTX, FPV everything.
Yo, hi!
Okay, you guys, what we have right in front of me here is the Clover cage, the world's first highly modular, quick swapping, hard mounting VTX cage with a couple of its 3D printable options. If you're interested in all of the options for it, be sure to check Clover FPV Systems website, where you'll find everything that you need to adapt and 3D print your own mounts for all of your devices. I'm just going to leave the models for the O3 air unit, the Caddy's top plate, bottom plate, 20mm standoffs, and 8 10mm screws. You'll also notice what I have in front of me, a 2mm hex driver and thread locker. I highly recommend using thread locker on at least all of your bottom plate screws. First things first, we're gonna grab one of the 10mm screws and put it up through one of the 4 standoff holes. Take a standoff, put it in place. And we're gonna do that for all 4 of them. And your bottom is assembled. Now we can take the 3D print for the O3 air unit and fit it in over the standoffs. Our bottom plate is finished, but we are ready for the top plate. If you're using the O3 air unit, the O3 air unit will be tucked safely in there. You can install your removable antenna mount into the antenna slot in the back of the top plate, and we're ready to put our top plate screws in. I don't normally use Loctite on top plate screws. You can if you want. All right, you guys, that's how you assemble a Clover cage. You'll see that there are 2 holes near the front and 2 holes near the back. Those will be for your mounting screws. If you're building your Clover cage for an FPV drone, we'll cut to whichever drone you're building next. If you're building it for a surface vehicle, then we'll cut to a tutorial on how to use the external mounting system. Whatever you're using, we'll see you over there. What I have in front of me is all of the pieces that we will need to build a Clover FPV Systems Shamrock. Today, we're gonna build the 3.5-inch TrueX version. There are a few things that are very particular about this build that you're gonna wanna do in order, so please follow along closely. Locate your bag of hardware and sort it out. All right, now that we've got our hardware sorted out, we've got 4 25mm standoffs, 10 press nuts, 8 for the arms, 2 for the Clover case mount, 2 M3 hex nuts for the mounting pad, a set of 4 25mm countersunk M3s for the stack, 2 12mm M3s for the front mounting holes of the Clover cage, 2 8mm M3s for the back 2 holes of the Clover cage, 8 M12 screws for the standoffs, 8 M12 screws for the arms, 6 regular button head M10 screws for the standoffs, and very importantly, 2 countersunk M3s for the standoffs. Now let's begin by the first quirky step. Take 2 M3 hex nuts and embed them in the bottom of the mounting plate and set that aside. Next, let's pick up our bottom plate and note that we have countersunk holes on one side and it's flat on the other. The flat side is the top, the side with the countersunk holes is the bottom. That's very important to this next step. Okay. The next thing that we have to do is install our press nuts. With the top plate facing up, we're going to install the press nuts for our arms. We do that by taking one of the shorter lengths of screws and using it as a tool to thread into the press nut with the teeth down towards the carbon and tighten it just until it bites in a little bit. We don't want to over tighten these because if you over tighten them, it'll just start to shred the carbon fiber. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the top of the bottom plate. We have 2 more press nuts to install, and to do that, we are going to flip the bottom plate over so that the bottom side is exposed, and install the 2 press nuts that will be used for the front mounting holes of the Clover cage. Now that that's in place, the next thing that we can do is install the countersunk captive screws for the front standoffs. And for this step in particular, I really advise you to stop and make sure that you've applied Loctite to these screws, because once you've installed the arms and the squish plate, these screws are going to be inaccessible. So make sure that you've got a pliers handy. Grip the standoff at the base where it's going to be hidden by the 3D print and torque down so that you don't have to be worried about that thing loosening up later when you can't access it. Same thing with the other screw going into that hole up through the bottom. We're going to thread a standoff onto it, hold it with the pliers, and pliers some torque. Now that that's installed, make sure that you've installed your hidden hex nuts in the bottom of the mounting plate and push it down over these standoffs. Next, we can install the rest of the standoffs. Using the remaining 10mm screws, make sure that you've got your Loctite on each one of them and screw them down. These ones, it's not super imperative that they're as tight because you will be able to access them later. Now is the time to install your stack hardware. I'm going to be using a 20x20 stack. So I'm going to use the inner rings here. And we just insert them like that. I'm going to apply a little bit of Loctite to each one of the included M3 hexes that are meant to go all the way to the bottom of the stack hardware to both hold it and place and raise your ESC up off the carbon fiber just a little bit. Now you'll want to tighten these down nice and good, because once you have your arms and squish plate on, you will not be able to access this hardware. We're ready for our arms and squish plate. To install the arms, I like to put one in place, pop my squish plate on top of it, and then we will take our 12mm screws, making sure to remember Loctite, and insert 1 per arm. And we don't want to screw these all the way down because it will prevent us from installing the rest of the arms. Shift them around so that everything fits. Get all your screws in the corners and start to put the remaining screws in once you've got them all in there. Again, you don't want to tighten down all the way until all the screws are in, because the arms will need to shift in order to let all of the holes line up. All right, we've got all 8 screws in, and you are going to notice in the middle, you can try as best you can to get the imperfections to iron out, but it won't affect the flight of the quad, not at all. One of the advantages of this design is that since the arms themselves don't interface with the stack hardware even at all, there's way less transference of vibrations from the arms to the stack. And it's just 2 screws to swap it in the field.
Watch closely on this next part and you can see me ruin my own video. So I'm really sorry that some of this footage is going to be blurry. I'm going to supplement it as much as I can with footage from the Lucky build where the process is the same.
Once they're all in, you can go ahead and tighten them down, just remembering that if you tighten them down to the Hercules degree, you will probably start to chew up the carbon fiber up here on the top. If you are using the shoe that has the lip on it, the best way to insert that is with the 2 points of the arm first, force it into the print using the flexibility of the TPU, and then snap it into place. This is your capacitor and RX holder for your 2 rear standoffs. All right, now we are ready to put on our top plate with the remaining 4 screws. I can't tell if this camera is auto-focusing or not.
It is not, past Steve, it is not.
Now you can put your Clover cage onto the mounting plate, and you'll have space between the top plates to screw into the back. And just remember that that hex screw underneath is only held in place by a thin TPU print. You're not going to be able to tighten down all the way. And then in the front, you screw down and screw down until that front screw begins to go into the press nut in the bottom plate. And once it feels nice and tight, you go and do the one on the other side. And there we have it. Your very own Clover FPV Systems Shamrock. 3.5-inch Truex. I had a lot of fun building with this. I hope you did too. Hey everyone, Clover FPV Systems is on a mission to grow. I want to take this project worldwide, and to do that, I could use your support. The best way to do that is to go over to cloverfpvsystems.com and make a purchase. The easiest way to do that is to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. And if you'd like early access and ad-free versions of all of our videos, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, merch, and more, please head over to our Patreon. And remember, the cure for bad luck isn't good luck, it's perseverance. Stay bashing. I'll be here in the next video.